Hello, it's Rachel Dexter here from Healthy English. Now, one of the huge challenges that a lot of international doctors or international medical professionals face when they come to live and work in the UK is the issue of regional accents and dialects. Now, when you learn English as a second language, you will be exposed to what we call the RP accent. Now, this stands for received pronunciation, and it's kind of similar to my accent. A lot of people, when they speak to me, they say, well, I can understand you, no problem. But in my local area, listening to people, they have these strong regional accents and it's really difficult to understand and to follow along. Now, that's because when you learn English as a second language, you are often only exposed to the RP accent. You're not exposed to the many different regional accents that people in the UK have. It can be a real shock when you come to live and to work in the UK. If you're placed in an area where there is a strong regional accent, it can be a huge challenge to listen effectively and also to understand the particular dialect that patients or colleagues might be using. I want to give you a few top tips to help you overcome some of the problems that working in an area with a strong regional accent can present. And the first thing is to simply be aware. Be aware that the UK has a very diverse range of regional accents that sound very, very different. The better you understand this, the less of a shock it will be. The second tip is to do some research. As soon as you know what area of the UK that you're going to be living and working in, do some research on the internet about the location and find out whether there is a specific regional accent common to that area. Now, areas in the UK that have a particular regional accent, they will have a specific name. So, for example, in Manchester, the regional accent is called Mancunian. In Liverpool, it's called the Scouse accent. In Newcastle, it's called Geordie. In parts of Northern England, it's called the Yorkshire accent. Not forgetting, of course, the Scottish and the Irish and the Welsh accents too. Now, these are just a few examples. So different areas have particular regional accents with a specific name. Research your area, find out the name for the accent that is spoken there. Tip number 3. Once you have done your research, start exposing yourself to the accent. It's all about tuning yourself into that particular accent. So the more you expose yourself, the easier it will become. One of the things I always advise once living in an area is to tune into a local radio station, because those local radio presenters will likely be speaking in the local accent in a very conversational manner. So it's a really great way to practice your listening skills. You can also often find famous comedians or actors or actresses from your area too. So watch their shows, watch their films. Another way to really practice tuning in to that specific regional accent. Tip number 4, YouTube. YouTube is a fantastic resource when it comes to regional accents. If you do a little bit of searching on YouTube, once you know the name for your particular accent, you will find lots of videos of people speaking in that accent, explaining about that accent, and also explaining about some of the specific dialects that are common in that area. So there are certain words that aren't spoken elsewhere in the UK. Now, I grew up in the north of London and I moved to Sheffield in the north of England, and I lived there for 13 years. Now, there was a specific dialect that I had to learn when I moved just within the UK. So there are certain terms that may well only be spoken in your local area that you won't know until you live in that area. So look out for videos on specific regional accents and regional dialects on YouTube. It can really help to prepare yourself and help prevent a lot of misunderstandings. And the final tip, be kind to yourself, because it is a huge challenge. And not only for people coming from abroad, but even native speakers who move within the UK can struggle at first to tune in. But what this means is that often if you're working in an area with a strong regional accent, your colleagues and the people you're with will likely be used to having to repeat themselves if people that they're talking to aren't from their local area. So be kind to yourself. The more you're exposed to it, the more you'll pick it up, the more you'll tune into it and understand. But don't be afraid to ask people to repeat. Just say, I'm still getting used to the accent here. I'm still getting used to the local dialect. Do you mind just repeating yourself? Or can you explain what that means? They shouldn't mind helping to explain things or to repeat things if you haven't caught them the first time. I hope this video has been helpful when faced with the challenges of UK regional accents and dialect. Do comment below if you can add any of your own tips, any of your own experiences. I'm sure that'll be really helpful for people too. But this is Rachel Dexter from Healthy English, passionate about encouraging, equipping and empowering international doctors, nurses and other health professionals thrive in their UK careers.